Hi everyone, today we're going to cover off the overnight trip planner. This is how you can get your people out onto the land safely. Make sure if there's any emergencies that happen that you can evacuate as well. Okay, so we're going to jump into it. What you want to do is you want to put the date that it was created and who prepared it. Trip dates, we're going to be heading out this weekend, so it'll be the 27th to the 29th, and then that would be a Friday to Sunday. You want to make sure to include the day as well as the dates when you're doing it, because some people think in day, some people think in date. Main activity that we're going to be focused on is medicine harvesting for that weekend. So we'd write it in here. And then where are we going to do it, and do we need a map for it? We're actually going to be doing it out in Tlaoquia territory in a remote location called Ukmin. And so we don't need a map to that location because everyone going knows where it is. Link up time, where are we meeting and what time are we meeting there? We're going to be meeting at the First Street Dock, and that'll be at 4 p.m. on Friday. The terrain that we're going into is really important to consider. In this case, we know we're going into a river environment, and we know that there's a forest behind that we need to be thinking about. Sometimes you'll go into an alpine area, sometimes you'll go into snow, sometimes you'll go into sand on the beaches. So it's good to know what terrain you're going into for sleeping arrangements and for gear as well. Mentors attending, who's coming out to teach us? So we're lucky on this weekend, we have a knowledge giver named Giselle Martin who's going to come out to teach medicines. Next part is we move into the weather. So we like to make sure that we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, plus one more day. We've been stuck in the woods on that Sunday, not able to get out and needing to know what the weather was on Monday. We want to include the high, the daytime high, and the nighttime low. So millimeters of rain or centimeters of snow are going to be important to include here. Wind speed and wind direction are going to be important for you to consider because that's going to be where you set up your tents. You don't want to set up your tents in a windy environment. Sunrise and sunset are up next, and so you really want to make sure you know that sunset timing, and you want to have your teams back no later than like 30 minutes before the sun sets, because it gets really dark in the woods really quickly. New Channel territory out on the coast, we have tides. We have high tide twice a day, we have low tide twice a day. So it's important for us to know what those tide times are because it'll affect our safety and emergency evacuation planning. So we make sure that we include that here. Over to the next page, people attending. So with people attending, you'd want to include who's going to be coming out, and also if there's any groups that are coming out with you. So we're going to have Andrew coming out. We know we're going to have Giselle coming out. And we also know that Huayet is going to be sending a team to hang out on the land and learn this with us as well. Huayet is actually sending 8 people. Have they been contacted? Yes. Are they attending? In this case, yes. And do they need transportation? Andrew will need transport. Giselle will need transport. However, Huayet won't need transport. This section down here covers the phases of movement. So first phase, we move in and we set up camp. The second phase, we do what we're there to do. We do our training and our activities. And then phase 3 is we tear down camp and we return home. So I'll just fill this one in really quickly. We would arrive at the First Street Dock by 4 p.m. and then we would depart for Ukmin by 4:30 once the boats are loaded. We would arrive at Ukmin by approximately 5:30, and that way people know when we're getting there. And here on Friday night, maybe we're doing songs and stories. On day 2, we know we're doing medicine harvesting. And on day 3, maybe we have a closing circle or a closing check-in. Third phase is departing, so tearing down camp and returning home. So we are going to depart Ukmin by 1 p.m. usually is a good time after lunch because everyone's tummies are full. We're going to arrive at the First Street Dock by 2 p.m. and pick up for rides home. Maybe go to the youth center, dry out some of that gear. Make sure the youth don't just take off on you. Usually an hour, hour and a half of gear drying and organizing time is helpful to have. On to the next page. So team tasks, very important to think about what teams can do to help when they're out on the land with you. I'm going to put base team as the coordination team. I'm going to put Andrew and his team that he's maybe going to bring, Andrew there. And I'll put Giselle on team 2 too, for fun. I'm going to put Huayet as team 3, and I'm not going to put anyone for team 3. I'll put Huayet for team 2, but I won't put any team 3 just this time. Coordination team, they're going to need to do a perimeter search, looking for scats or tracks and signs. We've been out on the land and seen cougar scat and cougar tracks and wolf tracks. So it's good to keep people closer until you get a really good understanding of where the animals are moving if you're in a new area. Establishing internal and external communications. So internal comms could be things like the walkie-talkies or Motorola's. External comms that we use would be VHF or the Garmin InReach, but really we want to have comms set up that they're ready to go. Present location safety briefing, and then also assigning tents and sleeping areas. So there's a safety briefing online. The coordination team would be the ones to share that. The safety brief is quite a complete document that helps you to plan those things. Team 1 would be preparing wood and establishing the fire. Team 2 could be unpacking the kitchen supplies and helping with setup. And then if you did have a Team 3, they could set up the Highline tarp and the outdoor classroom, or you can just double task a team to do that. Day 2 would have all the tasks that you're going to be doing that day, so medicine harvesting, maybe some clam harvesting. And then on day 3, it would be the tear down pieces, so taking down the first aid kit and a comms area, loading the vessel or the support vehicles, taking down the kitchen and repacking those supplies, and then also taking down the Highline tarp. Down at the bottom of that page, you've got an open area for any groups or tasks that you want to include down there. With land transportation, that covers off which cars are we going to use and the capacity of those vehicles. So for example, we could put Ricardo's truck, and it takes 4 people. Water transportation, we're going to be taking a water taxi out there, right? That takes 12 people. And then we're also going to have a safety vessel, but that can also take people out on the land. Warrior 2, which is going to be able to take 4 people. As I just alluded to, the safety vehicle or safety boat needs to be assigned here. So we're going to make sure that everyone clearly knows that Warrior 2 will be the safety vessel on site, and it'll stay on site for the entire weekend in case we need it for some reason. This area down here is where you actually include who is going in what vehicle in case something goes sideways and you need to know who was in there or who's in that vessel that's now we need to go and actually look for or search for or go and recover from an island, for example. So Ricardo's truck, I would put EJ in there. We could put Casey in there, and maybe we put Ethan in there with me as well. Down here, special gear or equipment required: first aid kit, bear spray, backup toilet paper, radios, chainsaw equipment. Those are all things that can fall into here. So I'm going to put down our first aider. His name is Hugo, and he's going to bring the first aid kit and the AED. Okay, Ricardo is going to bring medicine supplies. Resupply of drinking water. How are we going to resupply drinking water? We're really lucky in this location because there's a river and we can boil that water. And we're actually pretty close to town still as well, so we can come and resupply water in town. How much water should be required? We usually estimate 1 liter per person per active hour. So 6 hours a day, a couple days of work, 10 people, 12 people out on the land. We're going to estimate around 60 to 90 liters of water, but we know that we have resupply, so we're able to do that. Firewood. We often forget about firewood, and so we want to make sure that we consider it here. How much do we need? If we're out there for 2 fires, maybe they're going to light a fire in the morning as well. Where are we going to get it? And is it dry? We are lucky. There's a cabin with some dry wood that we put out there already. And so I would write down cabin has wood, but maybe you need to bring a chainsaw along to chop wood and to be able to keep the fire going all weekend. On to the second last page. This is where we cover off meals and snacks. We want to talk about allergies and likes and dislikes for the kids. So day 1, we would have Friday, 2, Saturday, and then Sunday. We know we don't need a breakfast on Friday, so we would just put a line there, but maybe we're making clam chowder for dinner that night, so we would write it in. We'd also put snacks, like fruit bars. So you would write in what the meals are going to be for each day that we're out there, as well as the snacks. That would have something there and there, but dinner that night we wouldn't really need. So over to shelter and accommodation. The nation's tents you could be using, or your community's tents if you have them. Some communities have wall tents already, or they already have a cabin that they could be using. We've also used alpine tents, solo tents, as well as something called a hot tent, which is like a car camping type of version. So now we move down to the medical facility. So you want to include what the address of that medical facility is, as well as the phone number for it. What's the fastest way to get there? That way boat transportation is, they know how long it'll take to actually get to that location. Moving on to the poo plan. This is often forgotten. Where are we going to be going to the bathroom when we're out there on the land? Is there a toilet already built? Are we able to get a portable toilet out there, a porta potty, or 2 for the weekend? Or the third one, will a toilet be created on like when we get there, right? So maybe we dig a drop toilet or some kind of pit toilet to use for the time that we're there. The group evacuation response. So where are we going to go as a group if an emergency happens. It's important that everybody knows where we're going to be going just in case the groups are separated and they all need to meet in that location. First aid and qualifications. So you want to have 2 teams of first aiders. That way if team 1 has to go with a patient, then team 2 can still stay on site and we can continue with training and teaching the youth while we're out there on the land. Personal gear required. We actually put a nice little checklist there for you. So rain gear, hiking gear, maybe a whistle, knife, headlamp, toiletries and towel, so things like your toothbrush and deodorant. Our youth like to bring their drum for singing at nighttime. So those are all things that you can make sure that each participant knows they need to bring. The last part here is your PACE plan. So PACE stands for primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. Could be a cell phone as your primary, but then VHF as a secondary if your cell phone is dead and not working. Maybe we have a satellite phone. Maybe you have a Garmin InReach. Now there's also the iPhones that have satellite texting as well. If it comes down to it, you can use a runner or a driver, someone to just go and get help. That's usually the worst case scenario, but sometimes if you're getting down to your last option, that's when you might have to use that. The last area here is emergency services numbers, so things like poison control or your local search and rescue, just in case any search and rescue is needed. We also use Coast Guard on the coast. That way, if we need any help on the water, they're already there for us. You'd want to include who to contact for any questions. I would put my name down there because I'm the creator of the plan, and then I would write my cell number. And at the very bottom, you've got any planning notes or diagrams. Maybe you want to draw out what camp is going to look like, just to show the teams as they arrive where they're going to be camping. But that is the overnight trip planner to be able to get your people out on the land safely and make sure they get home safely as well.